Excellent. So today I'm going to speak about how to deliver sustainable growth for e-commerce websites. So during the next, I hope to finish in 20 minutes so that Alexandra could be on schedule with the next sessions. I'm going to present you a few insights and tips and tricks about how to have a really working process in order to grow an e-commerce website. So what do we have in our agenda? The maturity phases of an e-commerce, tips and tricks about building a retention model based on the Rfm segmentation, retention hacks, and how to get to action. A few things about myself. I'm the CEO and founder of eCommerce, which is an integrated conversion rate optimization platform delivering insights and A/B testing and personalization for websites all over the world. I'm a serial entrepreneur from Bucharest, Romania, and I'm passionate about psychology and entrepreneurship. So, my life tests, I've done a lot of jobs. I've started 4 companies. I'm raising 2 kids, and thank God I have a single wife, which is incredible, and she's very supportive. So before anything, e-commerce is not a one night stand. So it's all about habit forming. So e-commerce, it's about making things over and over again like this guy, and then making them outstanding. It's also about being data driven and not acting on all the assumptions or on all the data, right? So if the things are changing, like here in this animated GIF, you should be aware. So mainly that means not acting on assumptions, but on real data. So also, let's speak a bit about the maturity levels of an e-commerce. And you're going to see this has a lot to do with the level of understanding of the data and the level of focus on the right things, on the first things first, and developing good habits so that the whole company can grow. So the first step is when the company is pretty young. So if the e-commerce is just a baby, then the first thing would be to focus on the traffic. Then as the time is passing by, the e-commerce owner or the e-commerce marketers or the chief revenue officer is realizing that they should be focusing, of course, on orders. So that means conversion rate optimization, and that means not only traffic for the sake of having traffic. Then as the customer is growing, finally, after 2 years, they should be focusing on customers. Of course, these are ideal cases, but the ugly truth is that not all the e-commerce are focusing on customers first. So mainly, from my opinion, they should be focusing on customers from day one. And of course, after 10 years old, if they are not let's say agile enough, and if they are not innovating enough, they are going to focusing on survival or on innovation, and they can drive outstanding growth like the big players like Amazon, ASOS, or Zalando are delivering. So what's important and why should we focus on the customers first, and why should we focus on retention? So as you can see here, 50% of the revenue is generating by returning customers after uh, 2 years are passing by. So that's all the customers. So that means depending on what you're selling as an e-commerce, you should be focusing on retention if the purchase frequency is high enough. So that means office supplies, pet supplies, luxury, electronics, or food and drinks. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be focusing on retention as well as the business is more and more mature. So that is very important, because after 24 months, 50% of the revenue is being generated by returning customers. But that's happening mostly for the top quartile customers. So as you can see here in this infographic, in this graphic from e-commerce growth benchmark made by RJ Metrics. So that means after 2 years, the leaders, the market leaders are generating more than 50% of the revenue from returning customers. And one also important thing is that the top 1% of the customers are spending 30 times more than the average customer. So that means you should be segmenting really good your database and your customer base, and you should be focusing on the buyer persona, which is the most important for you. Uh, But how can you focus on your buyer persona? So why should you focus on your buyer persona? So the most important thing would be that the average e-commerce retention rate is 30%. So that means only 3 customers out of 10 are actually placing the second order. So having that in mind, that means you are wasting a lot of energy and you are, let's say, investing a lot of resources in acquiring new customers, but only 3 out of 10 are gonna buy again from your website. So if you have an e-commerce with a year-over-year growth of 50% for new customers, that's going to happen with your total revenue after 6 years. So as you can see, at 10% retention rate after 6 years, where you've scaled like crazy, like 50% new customers every year, you're going to be having 5 times less revenue if your conversion rate would be 60% against 10%. So that's fabulous. So that's really, really important to keep customers, to retain customers, to build relations with them, and to have this focus on generating habits for your customers, right? So that should be one of your top priorities. So after 6 years, 90% of the revenue will be generating by returning customers at a 60% retention rate. So let's take a look at the customer centricity phases. As I've been working with a lot of e-commerce websites, as my third company is also an e-commerce company, I've become really fascinated about how important the retention rate is and how important the focus on the customers it is. And I've been analyzed this over and over and again, and I've been realizing that actually there are 4 phases in this growth process. The first phase is to be aware about what's going on, and for that you need a business intelligence platform or any type of data that would be very important, so that you are aware how the business is going, how healthy it is. And for the awareness phase, you don't need such a big amount of money. You will also need a team, so that means you're a data analyst or a business analyst. And of course, you'll need the in terms of technology, you will need the business intelligence tool. Then is the research phase. Based on the awareness, you might want to go deeper into generating insights and looking over the things which are going on in your data, and to understand who's your buyer persona, to do surveys, to do qualitative surveys, and to do quantitative research, and all sorts of stuff. Then there is the strategy, and where you will need a medium budget, so that you define, let's say, a retention program or a new demand generation program. And then is the execution, which means experimentation. So either it is a new campaign, either it's a nurturing email campaign, either it's a new retention optimization campaign on your website. You need that type of experimentation, where you need the most of the budget, because you need development, you need UX, you need also a personalization tool, and a lot of things. So what is important to know is where you are in this phase. So how customer centric are you? And in order to see how can you use the conversion rate optimization framework so that you can increase the conversion rate, you can take a look over here. I'm not going to stay too long here, but the phases are the same, but you need to do different things according to the phase where you are. So you need to measure previous performance, you need to find data anomalies and patterns, you need to change, first of all, and the most important is the company mindset. So because all these great things that you are hearing and you are seeing in all these webinars and conferences, and you are reading books and you are looking at Amazon, are not going to happen if you, as an owner, if you're an e-commerce owner, or your boss as an e-commerce owner, if you are an employee, is not going to change his or her mindset. And then, of course, you need to create conversion-focused objectives, and you need to eliminate internal confusion and doubt. So after that, you need to do a research on the funnel. You need to strategize on the time, impact, and number of hypotheses, and of course, to measure how many experiments are you doing at at any given moment in time, and of course to create a new customer journey. In order to find out ways to improve your conversion rate and to see what's going on in your data, we are inviting you to use this tool. It's you're gonna have an early access to it if you are using this link, and you'll be having the opportunity to see what kind of data anomalies can you find in your Google Analytics after you are clicking a single button. So this new product, OmniConvert Insight, is going to give you a lot of insights that might be useful for you. So now let's focus on the phases of customer centricity. The first phase is the awareness phase. First of all, you need to monitor the right KPIs. So the right KPIs mean lifetime value, net promoter score, customer acquisition cost, retention rate, conversion rate, all these KPIs which are showing that your business is going well. After you monitor the right KPIs, you can set strategic objectives. And let's say you understand based on a mathematical model of your business that in order to grow, you need to improve the traffic, or you need to improve the lifetime value, or you need to improve the conversion rate. So depending on the phase you are, you need to set those type of strategic goals. After that, you have strategic initiatives. So you do the brainstorming and you understand how can we increase the net promoter score, because we've seen that the word of mouth is one of the main channels, and we want to deliver outstanding services to our customers so that they can talk about us and promote us into their network. Then you need to prioritize based on all these initiatives. My suggestion is to have a lot of initiatives so that you can squeeze you and your team for the best ideas ever, so that you don't waste time by implementing mediocre initiatives. And then after you do the prioritization based on the time, the impact, the budget that you have, and the resources you need to allocate over there, maybe it's the time to start the execution. So don't start with the execution, start with monitoring the right KPIs. So let's say you have this type of strategic initiatives, and you have the strategic objectives like increasing the net promoter score, increasing the lifetime value and increasing the conversion rate. So then you come up with all these strategic initiatives, you give them a total impact score, and after all, you are acting on the first things first, of course, if you have the budget to do so. So one important thing to analyze here and to let's say influence is the cohort analysis. So how customers are churning through time. That's a very important thing, because now that Black Friday is over, you might want to see, after acquiring a lot of new customers, how they are churning through time. Are you keeping them? Are you retaining them? Are you having a strategy around them, or you are just letting them vanish from your database? And also you should be focusing on the retention rate impact on all these type of customers, like the customers which placed only 1 order, 2 orders, 3 orders, 4 or 5 plus orders. So if you want to use this kind of matrix, you can download it from this link. I've made it available for free for anyone that wants to use it. It's called the e-commerce growth matrix, and I hope you've noted down the link, because we are in a hurry here at Digital Olympus. So the second phase would be the retention rate optimization methodology. So first of all, the retention rate optimization framework. So I'm going to sit a bit here so that you can understand how important it is. So as the conversion rate optimization framework, the things are the same. So it's like in design thinking, right? First, you monitor and you focus on what's important. Then you do a deeper research to understand the causes which are generating some problems, or some data, or some insights. So the whole research phase needs to deliver to you hypotheses. Then you do the strategy. That means to analyze the insights impact, the number of hypotheses, the how to do the experimentation, and the tools you are using in each phase are somehow different. And of course, you have the experimentation, where you are focusing on the experimentation velocity and incremental uplift and retention rate. So mainly what you you will be needing here, it's A/B testing, personalization, marketing automation, web analytics, a lot of tools. And as you can see over here, you need a lot of different type of roles to help you get along with your retention process. So usually the process, if you've never done this before, the first thing would be to build the Rfm segmentation model. Rfm meaning recency, frequency, and monetary value. So instead of grouping customers based on their location or based on their uh, other attributes like from which channel they are coming, you are grouping them based on things which are important to your business, like how recent they've bought, how frequently they are buying, and what's the total amount of money that you're generating from them. Then you do the deep diving after you build those kind of segments, like lost VIP or new VIPs or sleepy normal users. You understand your buyer persona, so you focus on the extremes mainly. So you understand why some VIPs bought from you so many times, and what stopped them from returning on your website and buy again. And then you do the hygiene step, which means treating their pains. Then you do the cosmetic step, like you do the math, you understand how much can you afford to pay to retain a new customer instead of investing and acquiring another new customer. You start brainstorming based on your budget, and you generate a lot of ideas so that you can uh, keep more customers. After that is the execution phase, like you start to implement all these experiments um, that you are doing, and then you analyze the impact of those experiments in terms of net promoter score, in terms of retention, how they are affecting the total lifetime value. And of course you restart from the ideas generation, and of course you monitor them so that you are sure that things are going well with your retention process. So after that is the RFM segmentation and understanding the buyer persona. So as I've told you, recency means how recent has the last order been placed, how often that customer bought, and what's the total revenue you got from that customer. Then you have the total database, and you will be having scores based on these metrics like recency score, frequency score, and monetary value. At the end, you will have the total RFM score, understanding what's going on with your whole database. So after that, you do this buyer persona understanding, and you run surveys. You understand how many of your customers are placing the second order and why are they doing that. So from the ones which are not ordering anymore, how many are not placing an order because of your products, from which categories, and because of the bad quality of your product, or because of the false expectations you've delivered on your website, or how many of them are not buying because of your services like delivery time, support, customer experience, return policy, or packaging, or whatever. So based on that, you can identify the places where you should do the hygiene step. So how to do all these things? You can run on-site surveys with OmniConvert or any other tool. You can do post-order emails. You can do post-order remarketing for Facebook ads with proper capping, not to be too intrusive or annoying with your customers. But fact is that you need to know what's going on in their mind, why those people are not converting anymore, or why they've placed the order on your website initially. So after that, you will be having a matrix like this, where you, let's say, do brainstorming and understand what can you deliver for the platinum users or gold users, uh, what type of benefits can you offer them, like priority on delivery or free returns for lifetime, or a courtesy call, and at the end, if you can afford that, of course you can do a discount uh, policy. But the main thing is not the discount policy, but being thankful and making them come back. So building a relation with your customers, not let's say, saying to them, hey, kitty, kitty, buy again because I'm going to give you 5%. No, the authenticity is very important in the relation with your customers. So how can we use an RFM model? So first of all, you identify the best customer. Then you do a proper retention program. Then you increase your retention rate. That leads to higher revenue. And of course, that will lead to data-driven growth. So instead of waiting and instead of, let's say, being anxious about the future, you can sit on solid ground because you know that you have a large pool of customers which are buying over and over again from you. After that, the next step will be the under promise and over delivery step, where on every touch point you do personalization. So you can do a handwritten thank you letter, you can send them a surprise gift, you can send them, I don't know, a small champagne bottle because they placed the second order. You can give them a courtesy call after the first order, and to understand if they are happy actually after the first order. Or also you can give them a welcome back surprise according to recency score. That thing you can do by with OmniConvert very, very easily. You can't imagine how easy it is to deploy all these type of conversation scenarios with your customers. So this is your homework. First of all, emotions will build relations. Second of all, you should make someone responsible for retention, and you should monitor it constantly. Third, you should be focusing on habit forming for your customers. Fourth, you can't grow retention and anything else if you don't monitor it. So what you don't measure doesn't count. That's why maybe you can't give up on smoking or you are not losing weight. And fifth, be good. I mean, don't use all this bad persuasion with tricking people to buy, let's say, not so qualitative products, because karma will get back to you. So mainly that being said, I can propose you to use, if you are using Magento, we've just released OmniConvert retention plugin for Magento. So you can find all this type of data like lifetime value, retention rate, build instantly, or the RFM segments, and you can take a look at the cohort analysis, and of course you can monitor all these type of cool metrics like year-over-year growth rate or month-over-month growth rate. And on top of everything, you can do real-time web personalization for the customers which have a certain RFM score, or you can do overlays, or you can do A/B testing, or survey them about their experience with your brand. So if you want to onboard to the free early access to Magento plugin, you can go to this link, and you'll be notified when we are gonna make it public, and we're gonna assist you into improving your retention rate. So mainly that's who we are. We are doing a lot of stuff. We have a lot of products like A/B testing, actionable surveys. We have real-time web personalization. We empower you to run overlays based on the behavior and based on the lifetime value of your customers or products they've previously bought. And also we are having these business insights where you can track and monitor the most important KPIs. We are proud to work with a lot of companies from all over the world. We have more than 20,000 websites working with our stuff. So mainly that's my presentation. If you want to get in touch with me, you can find me on LinkedIn. Thank you, everyone. And thanks, Alexandra, for inviting me.